Okay, how's everybody doing this evening? My name is Kent and the channel is EOS San Diego. And tonight, let's take a look at the markets. Actually, EOS over the last 7 days is up over 20%, 20.6%. And of course, we're holding over the $3.50 range, which right from 290 all the way through to 350, and it's holding there. So hopefully it's starting to establish another position here at $3.50 and over. But the thing that still amazes me the most is this volume. In the last 24 hours, you have $2.2 billion in volume on a $3.6 billion market cap. That is staggering, unbelievable that you could have that much volume. And of course, I attribute that to the fact that this is a worldwide platform, trading around the world on numerous exchanges. It's not really limited to one geographic location or one place or one area of laws or one established security and exchange commissions or whoever else in the world has security laws. This is a worldwide platform trading literally everywhere without any kind of, what would you say, barriers, without any kind of barriers. That'd be the word I would like to say. So anyway, the next thing I'd like to cover a little bit tonight is I want to talk about EOS Authority. And I was talking today to Roshan, and he was telling me about this new account creator where what happens is the people that didn't register the ERC20 tokens for EOS never register. And I've known a lot of people that didn't do that. They can still do that through this tool. So if you haven't registered the ERC20 tokens into EOS, you can still do this through a tool that EOS Authority built. They also have a tool that's going to allow you to recover your lost private key from the ERC20 token if you lost it. So they're creating those tools too. So EOS Authority does a lot of good work. They create a lot of really good tools. And of course, I've always been very pro EOS Authority, block producer. And I think they're around 20, 21. So we need to keep them in the top 21 because these are block producers that are creating tools for the community. And if you look at some block producers, they don't do so many tools. EOS Authority does a lot of tools, and they do a lot of tools that really help. They target it. They're targeting the problems that people are having. And this is one of the problems I know people have had. I think Roshan told me that they've already registered 2,000 accounts where people are registered now from the ERC20 token. So 2,000 people were able to be helped by this tool. So that's a lot of work that needs to be recognized. And the way to recognize it is to please vote EOS Authority for block producer. The next thing I want to talk about a little bit is I want to talk about why the markets have gone up here recently. And one of the things going on right now, and of course, I listened to a video that I think was made today or yesterday with Mike Novogratz. Mike Novogratz was hedge fund manager. He was Goldman Sachs partner, and he's one of the wealthiest people on the face of the earth. Been very, very successful over his history of investing. And he's very involved with EOS. In fact, he was at San Francisco. I did a video with him, and he's very, very, very he's very into cryptocurrencies and very into EOS. So Novogratz was saying that what's happening right now is, and what I think why the market is starting to take off is because you have institutional investors starting to get into this space. Institutional investors like JP Morgan. There'll be a lot more. They're starting to take up positions in this space. And it's no longer individuals, but now it's institutions. Institutions will start making blockchains. They will start investing in blockchain. And the big money people, bankers, Goldman Sachs's, JP Morgan's, are going to start putting money into blockchain. And one of the things that Novogratz talks about quite often is the custody issue. And what we mean by custody is in blockchain, we all have private keys. You lose your private key and you're pretty much stuck. And a case in point is Quadriga. And if you want to, I'll put a link to this this site that I'm on right now. But anyway, Quadriga is an exchange up in Canada. Let me see if I can get the very beginning here. But anyway, they're the founder, which was a very young guy, I think he was like 30 years old, they have hundreds of millions of dollars under their control. Well, anyway, the founder ends up dying in India from whatever reason. I don't know why he died, but anyway, he died and he was the only one that had access to the private keys. So literally 250, what is it? $190 million in funds that were stored in crypto and fiat after its founder, Gerald Cotten, unexpectedly died in 2018. The 30-year-old died in India after suffering from Crohn's disease. He's always suffered from Crohn's disease. But the issue here is custody, because this one person had all the funds, or actually had all the private keys under his control for all the people that held funds on this exchange. That's one of the reasons why we say not to hold your EOS or your cryptocurrency on an exchange, because if something like this happens, for no fault of people that had the accounts, now the person that was in control of the all the keys, well, the keys for all this money that's being stored on this exchange dies. No one has access to the private keys. I guess nobody can find this computer. So this is just lost funds, basically, and they're giving a very bleak report about how, if they're ever going to be able to recover these funds. These funds could be gone forever. Hundreds of millions of dollars gone forever, because one guy had access to all the crypto accounts, or had access to the crypto account with all the money in it. And because he can't manufacture, or nobody can get the private key, the money's gone. So what Novogratz is talking about here is he's talking about this BitGo. And I'm going to read from the very top. BitGo, a crypto custodian backed by Goldman Sachs, is offering up to $100 million insurance coverage for cold wallet assets through Lloyd's. There's no additional cost to BitGo client. So if what happened with this exchange, Quadriga, if that happened and they were covered by BitGo, they would have been covered for up to $100 million in insurance. That's what institutional investors are looking for. They're looking for some security so that something like what happened with this Quadriga will not happen to them if they invest hundreds and billions into cryptocurrencies. So there's got to be an issue solved with custody. And of course, right now, they don't have it because private keys is how you access the blockchain. But they're willing to cover you for some insurance. Is exactly what my idea was with Safeguard EOS. You need to come up with some reserve to be able to help people that lose cryptocurrency. And of course, Safeguard EOS is our idea, of which we are going to be putting some money in that account, because we realize that we need to get it going. So we're going to add some of our own funds into the account. And if you want to donate to that account, I'll put the link below, but that's going to be a way to safeguard people that lose money, because the insurance is the only way you're going to get people to feel comfortable with using blockchain, because of the fact that there's an issue with custody. And if you lose your wallet, use your private key, then you lose your funds. Nobody wants to go through that. So there's got to be some backing. So what Novogratz is saying here and doing is he's talking about having insurance to cover this, but only for the institutional investors. See, I'll highlight it right here. So you're making them feel very safe about taking a step into the blockchain world. BitGo joins a growing number of companies that offer crypto custodian services, including Citigroup, Coinbase, and Gemini, all of which are targeting institutional investors. So institutional investor wants to come in and buy a bunch of Bitcoin, you're covered. Institutional investors want to come in and buy a bunch of EOS, they're covered. So it's going to make them feel much more comfortable with investing in cryptocurrencies. And that's going to make cryptocurrencies more valuable. Create the markets will go up, and more people will get involved, and it will become more mainstream. And that's hopefully what is taking, and that's what Novogratz is saying. And that's why he's saying the price is going up, because institutions are moving into this space. And for this to be anything more than the people that are in it right now, we need to get more investors in. The best way to do it is through this way, to have institutional investors be safeguarded for getting in, for being in this space. The other thing I'd like to say about this is that I do think that there is software solutions for for private keys. Right now, in fact, we're working on a workaround right now with Challenge. We understand that there's a resistance to using something like the Challenge app if you have to use a private key. A lot of people are telling me that. A lot of people say we're, because we have this stigma about private keys, which is pretty well founded when you see how people, like one guy, can lose a lot of accounts by just not having anybody else have access to that private key. So people are very careful of private keys. So there are workarounds for private keys. And this is the workaround. The workaround is, in the future, you will literally be able to go to an application like Challenge. You will be able to create an account with your user and password created, just like any other way of creating an account online. And it's going to create a private key for you and that you will never see. The private key will be stored someplace that you will never see. But the way it's going to identify you is not through the private key, but through your fingerprint or through your face scan on your iOS, on your Apple device. I don't know if that's on Android or not, but on Apple it is. So that's what's going to happen in the very near future. The private key problem will be solved by being able to have a private key created that gets stored somewhere that nobody can get, and really so that you don't have that private key even to get, unless maybe there's a way for you to get it. But basically most people will never get to it because they will have no reason to look at this. I don't know how many character, letter, number, 50 character, I don't know how many it is, but whatever it is, it's a great big long group of numbers and letters that nobody understands, capitals, smalls, everything like that. That'll be created for you and it'll be done for you. And the only thing you'll ever need to do is to use your fingerprint or your face scan to get into your account, to your crypto account, to interact with the blockchain. You'll be able to do this through a fingerprint and a face scan. So that's the way it's going to happen in the future. And you're going to have to, the workaround for the private key will be done. That's being worked on right now. In fact, we're trying to implement that in the Challenge app. We're trying to do that right now. Hopefully we'll get that done very soon. But you'll be able to create an account without using your private key. Now, I know there's a lot of ways of working around that. You don't use a private key with a lot of funds in it, but there's a lot of people still have a very, very hard time using a private key for anything. So that'll be fixed. Once this custody issue gets fixed and things like face scans and thumbprints will be used, people will feel much more secure with the blockchain. If they feel more secure with the blockchain, they'll tend to put more money into it, and it'll grow. It'll grow exponentially. And instead of looking at $3.50 EOS, we'll be looking at $100 EOS, if not more. This is where we're going. This is why I'm excited. I think this is why Novogratz is excited. And I think that's why the market's going up. There is a lot of potential here. Everybody knows it. The people that are following it very closely see it. And there will be a lot of things happen in the very near future. And as you see with volume, things go quickly. They happen quickly, just like what you saw yesterday. 20% in a day, 25% in a day. It could be 50% in a couple days. Things go up very, very quickly. So there's going to be some big news in the future. And I'm sure that things are going to continue to get better for blockchain, EOS, and cryptocurrency in general. I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much.